Zeb, I've known you for about, 20 plus years, so.
A good 23 or 24.
Have I ever been known to like horror movies?
No.
No, I hate horror movies. One, usually most of the time they're not done very well. And two, I just don't like being scared. Like, at all.
At all.
Like, I don't like being scared one bit. So the fact that I went to go see It was a big deal for me.
Right?
It was a big deal. And I'm actually really surprised on how much I liked it. And the fact that, because, okay, I'll be honest. I was watching it through, like, the peephole of my sweatshirt. Like, I literally had my hood up and just, like, crouched into the seat watching. But I
Right.
realized, like, after, like, the first hour, maybe hour and a half, that it wasn't that scary. Even some of the horror scenes weren't scary. But not to, like, bash on the film for not being scary or anything. I just kind of felt like it was just, like, the fear in the movie was the idea of, like, these are kids fighting
This
an immortal
freak
being.
monster, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things about Stephen King films is a lot of the horror doesn't come from a jump scare or from, what we usually attribute horror movies with horror.
Mm-hmm.
Because we see this monster fairly early on, and we see it often. But the horror comes from this compounding sense of just like, oh man, it's there, it's coming at you, it's going to get you. Like, this is going to be a spoiler review of it. So
Yeah.
There's a scene where one of the main characters is walking home, and he passes by this dingy old house that ends up being where the monster lives.
Which every horror movie town has that
That's
house.
exactly what I was thinking too when I saw that. I'm like, every town has to have one of those houses, doesn't
Yeah.
it? But he's afraid of disease, and so the monster comes to him as a leper, essentially, and it chases him around, and that's not inherently scary. Like, I'm not afraid of a leper, but this kid is, and so you're afraid for the kid because it's just this weird, gross thing chasing him around
with like three eyes.
with
I
like
noticed.
3 eyes, and it's got like pus leaking out of every hole, and then it disappears, and he's trying to escape from this backyard of this house that he got trapped in, and then the clown is there
with like a weird upside down triangle of
of
balloons.
balloons, but it doesn't go after him. It just is like, hi buddy, and then like he screams, and then it disappears, and then he like gets out. Because one of the cool things about this story, the It story, is that the monster feeds off of fear.
Yeah.
So it doesn't need to just kill you right away. It needs you to be afraid. So its whole point is, I'm going to mess with you real bad for a while, and then I'm going to get you. Because otherwise, I'm not getting anything out of this. It's not like the alien monster from Alien, where it just, wants to kill you or make more of it. Or, what is it? Not Painkiller. Hellraiser, where it's like, we need to teach you the ways of BDSM horror. This one is just, I need you to be afraid.
Because it's like tenderizing the meat.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
So, and I think the one thing that really made the fear in this, in It, like the major fear for me was the fact that he is the actor Bill Skarsgård.
Yeah, Skarsgård. Yeah.
Bill Skarsgård. He's 6'4".
Yeah. No, he's
And these kids,
Dude,
these kids are like legit, like I know
4 foot tall at the most. I want to say,
because I know the girl, Sophia Lillis.
Lillis.
Yeah, Lillis. Sophia Lillis. She's actually 15. So like these kids are actually the age range they're supposed to be in. Well, I know they're all supposed to be like 11 or whatever.
Between 11 and 13.
Yeah. So she's actually a young person. So that means she's not very tall. In that scene when she turns around and he like grabs her by the throat, like.
Mm-hmm.
He is like, she comes up to his chest.
Maybe.
So he's huge. Like, he's a massive force. So that's the one also fear. It's just like how much he just looms over everyone.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Is like, not only is he taller and bigger than them, he's also a monster. And so he's got like monster strength. And these kids are like, we're just kids.
Which, like that's the one thing I almost couldn't believe when they first go to that house, when it's just like, we gotta go. I'm like, with what?
Yeah,
like,
I know,
they
right?
literally go there with nothing. Like the
Nothing.
second time they go to the house, they have like the gun that they use to kill sheep. They have some metal rods. They have a
Yeah.
bat. But like the first time they had nothing. So I'm like, what do you plan to do? Because like these kids, one, they're kids, but they're mature. So I feel like they also kind of have an idea of certain things. So it's like, you would know that, like, if you're going to go up against an evil clown, you would want to go in there with
Like
something.
weaponry. But at the same time, I feel like the story itself is also just an allegory for overcoming your own fears in general.
Oh, definitely.
And so a major point of that is fighting it by yourself, or fighting it with your own ingenuity. And that's essentially what these kids do. Is they don't have access to guns. They don't even know probably where to get one.
Right.
And so they don't even think about getting a gun to fight it. And they don't have knives at their homes, except for
True.
maybe the girl, because
Bev.
of Bev, because of her dad.
I like how her fear had nothing to do with Pennywise. Like, her fear was just actually like her life.
That's one of the great things about it, is each of these kids has a different experience, and you see their fear in their character the entire time. Like, Bev is her dad. The sick kid, he's always going off about how much disease is everywhere where they're going.
These aren't real pills. They're gazebos.
They're gazebos. Oh my god, that was like killed me.
Because in the movie, his mom was giving him placebos, sugar pills, because she was so afraid of him like going out in the world.
Well, no, it wasn't just that. She was similar to one of those moms that are insane and would give their children poison to keep them sick because of that. That's essentially what she was doing to this kid, only it was just placebos. But she wanted him to think that he was sick all the time, so he wouldn't leave her. Yeah.
Is that?
It's I guess he was hypochondriac.
Everything,
but
like
it wasn't a self-inflicted hypochondria.
Yeah.
She made him believe that he was always sick, and so he did believe that he was always sick until he realized, oh, I'm not.
Yeah.
And then he started to overcome that fear of everything because of that. Then there's the main character. His fear is his younger brother, losing his younger brother, which he does. And so his younger brother is what the It monster keeps coming back to him with.
Let's talk about that opening scene.
That opening scene.
So, I'm not gonna lie. That when he first goes down to the basement to get the wax, I was like,
it's there.
I was like, oh, I thought you're gonna. He has to get outside. Are they just gonna kill him now? But like, the thing that got me was the fact that, and this is actually throughout the movie too, when Pennywise talks to the kids, he's drooling.
Oh yeah,
like, you hear him.
He's salivating.
He's
just
like,
wanting to eat that child so bad.
Actually, keep talking. It's starting to rain, so I need to close my door. So
not a problem. Yeah. So I'll just go off of what Addison's saying. Yeah. So Pennywise is always just like super into wanting to eat these kids, and so like it's one of the biggest tip-offs that he's just this nasty monster at the very beginning, which is fantastic because he's just like trying really hard to get this kid to come over close enough for him to eat it the entire time. Like, I'm sure if at any moment that Georgie had like gotten an inch closer during that conversation, he would have eaten him then. Yeah, not when he went for the boat.
And he was trying so hard to just be like, I'm Pennywise the dancing clown. And he's just like, you get to see him. He's just, because remember, it's been 27 years, which is such a weird time. Like, an odd number for, being underground. But he's just like, I'm so hungry and I'm going to eat you. And that scene too, it was just like, because in the original, not the original, but the TV movie that came out in the 90s, was it 80s?
I think it was the 80s.
So when that movie came out, like, that Georgie, he was gonna get kidnapped one way or the other. Like, just hearing how he, like, when he talked, like, when Pennywise was like, I'm Pennywise, you're Georgie, now we know each other. He's like, yeah, okay. And he's just like, all he's like, that kid's gonna get kidnapped one way or the other. This Georgie was a little like, I need to get ready to. I need to leave.
Yeah, he actually was like like a real kid.
Yeah.
But what was it? So the difference between that scene and the original scene, it's not a huge difference because actually the conversation happens almost the exact same way and like ends the same way. But like the way that so I actually haven't seen the original one because I didn't get the chance to when my brother saw it at like a birthday party or something like that, his birthday party, because I was too little and so I just couldn't watch it. But he told me about how it went, and the way he like emoted Pennywise is like, I'm Pennywise, you're Georgie, we're friends now. Like, and it just like smiles, and then he goes, oh, then he eats the kid's arm. Like, that made me so scared of ever watching that movie ever.
And the funny thing about that scene, like, it's because Pennywise is played by Tim Curry. He sounded like a 1940s gangster. He's like, oh, Pennywise the dancing clown. Like, he had this like kind of like gangster like sound. So like when you watch it now, you're kind of like, oh, that's a little silly. But in this one, he like his voice kept changing.
No,
he's like,
Skarsgård sells it so hard in this one.
Hiya, Georgie. I'm Pennywise the dancing clown. Like he's
all over the place.
Many pitches. You're like, you can see like where he's trying to like he's trying to be like charming.
Well, yeah. Well, the thing
is,
the
monster in him is just like.
No, it's what a monster would believe a clown would sound like.
Yep.
That's what it is. And he just does such a freaking great job at it.
Yeah.
Like, it's killer. Because he's just like... Because it's this weird kind of lilting, going all over the place voice that, like, it's a clown, but at the same time, you're like, this is why I'm afraid of clowns.
Yeah.
This thing, it right here, is why I am afraid of clowns.
So, this movie's been out for
a week
and a half, and it's already over $200 million domestic. Like right now, it's $218 million on a $35 million budget. Like it's so over. I think it broke even easily. Yeah,
on the first day.
Yeah, it was over $100 million on the first weekend.
Wow.
So I'm surprised the next movie isn't already out. Like on how much money they made. And I was actually thinking because it's kind of like a two-parter where you have it when they're kids and then when they're adults. And I was kind of thinking like, because another thing I want to talk about is the cast. Like the kids were like phenomenal. Some were less developed than others.
Right.
Like I think
the one that's actually afraid of clowns. The one that like actually I think scared the lady with the flute.
Yeah, the kid, the Jewish kid. He didn't get much to do, and same with Mike, the black kid.
Yeah,
he was kind of just thrown in there.
It was kind of funny in the final confrontation scene when they go to the house again. Before that, they show a bunch of the kids like kind of overcoming themselves to join the party again after they disband.
Yeah,
but they don't show that for Mike, and they don't show it for the Jewish kid. And I'm just sitting there like, yep, of course the tokens don't get a scene where they triumphantly overcome themselves to join them. They just are there.
I do believe the director said that's going to be in the director's cut. The kid overcoming his fear. I think it was just they had to cut it out. So yeah, the kids didn't get over. The kids were outside of those two. Everyone else was developed. So I was thinking like, you know what? What if we waited 27 years to do the next one?
Oh man, and had the same actors.
That's what I was thinking. Like, do we pull a Boyhood and just like wait? Like, I love this cast, and that's what my big fear about the second one. Because again, it's a two-parter, kids and adults. I'm afraid that the adults will not do as well as these kids. Like these kids this is what made the movie great. Like the fear and the humor were these kids.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they get adults, like the adults would just kind of bring it down.
The glasses kid, the one that's afraid of clowns, he's also one of the
Trash Mouth.
I love his.
He was the best part of the movie.
Well, he was the kid. He's one of the cast members from Stranger Things as well.
And he
just sells it so hard, man. He does so well. Like
outside of Skarsgård, he was the one that people were afraid about because they're like, oh, he's so well mannered and polite in Stranger Things. How is he gonna play Trash Mouth, who's has a trash mouth? And
God,
he
was so
the
good.
best part.
So good.
Like the back and forth between these kids were great.
He has the best your mom jokes in the entire thing.
So, and another kid I want to talk about is my boy Ben. Oh, Ben, like. He represented us husky guys. Yep. He was like, he got all the information for the Losers Club. He wrote the poem for Bev. He helped when Bev was like under.
And he's the one that gets hurt the most, except for maybe Eddie when he breaks his arm. Like he gets a dude's initial carved into him.
Yeah,
the freaking monster guts him.
He really gets like, the worst of it, and it's like, and everything he does is for Bev. Like. When Bev, she gets kidnapped by Pennywise like halfway through the movie, and she's, is floating, and he's like, and she's in the air, and they're like, Bev, snap out of it, and he's just like,
fuck, and
he's fucking and kisses her,
and then like brings her out of it,
and I'm like, why? And then of course she ends up with the main character, or she kisses Bill at the end. I'm like.
I mean, but she leaves. Like
I know,
the whole
but
thing
come on,
none of them like staying together.
Ben, it should have been Ben. Like this was actually a really fun love triangle that because most of the time in the film it feels so like forced or whatever, but this one was like I actually like this one, but I really think it should have been Ben who got Bev at the end. But you know what?
I mean that's true, but like Bev was totally aware of it the entire time, so it's not like she was just like oblivious to Ben and just like I choose Bill. It was Ben. You're really great. You've saved me multiple times. Thank you so freaking much. And in the end, she's just kind of like...
But she also didn't know that Bill, when he's the first one to find her, but then sees the construct of Georgie, and he's like, Bev, I'll be right back, and chases after Georgie. I'm like, ooh, if she would have known that he did that, no kiss for him at the end.
Right.
So since we're at the end, I want to talk about like the blood oath, because in the book, their oath is
a little bit different.
It's an orgy.
Yep. Thanks.
Yeah, because
coke-addled Stephen King.
Because when the kids after they beat it, they're trapped in the sewer and they're freaking out. Like they're like, oh my god, how are we gonna get out of the sewer? And Bev was like, I know how to calm down. I know how to calm down a bunch of pre-teenal boys, and then like it was also to build up their bond or whatever.
Something like that, yeah.
And she's like, all right. And I think there's a line where like put your thing in me, and it proceeds to where all the boys, which were 6 or 7 of them,
no, I think
5 or 6, all have sex with her, but she only orgasms with Bill and Ben. So there's the silver lining.
Whoa.
It's so when I found out about that, I almost didn't, because I want to read the book. I haven't read the book. I really want to. But that whole section for me just feels so weird.
It's very weird. I don't think it needed to be in there.
No,
at all.
And at the same time, I feel like Bev is also a very like abused character in that.
Yes.
Like
good God, yes.
From her dad to the orgy.
I mean, and then everyone believes that she does these horrible things.
Yeah.
Even though she doesn't.
So I almost rather just keep with this movie, because it's just like, people have made rumors about her, and she's actually not a bad person, and she's not anything what everyone says she is. So that's why I rather just stick with the movie,
right?
Because I feel like the book is just like, yeah, she is that stuff. Or anyways, the cast was amazing, that's also like I said, that's my biggest fear about the second one, is because I don't know if the adults are going to have the same charm as what these kids
and also
brought.
the way they interact with the monster in the second one is a bit different from this one. Because it shows its true face.
Yeah, which is like spider, right?
Giant monster spider thing. Because the whole thing about the Pennywise monster is that it's got an actual name. I can't remember what it's called, but it's a folklore monster that feeds off of fear. Because literally, that's what it is.
Because his nemesis is a turtle, like a giant turtle that is like good and all about life or whatever.
Yeah, it's something weird like that. But and so Pennywise. The reason it has the Pennywise body is because in that circus accident that like happened like 100 years earlier or something weird like that, it woke up the monster and it like ate the clown or something like that, or became the clown because it saw people were afraid of it.
Yeah.
And so it decided that was the new shell that it would have, because that was scarier than its like normal form.
Yeah.
But its normal form is just like a big nasty spider thing that feeds off people's fear.
Yeah, and I think that's where we're gonna wrap up the review for it. But I loved it a lot. It
was a great movie.
Yeah, like the fear. It was like they had some pretty good jump scares, but overall, it's more of just it's a thriller version of Goonies.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, with just like, don't get me wrong, Pennywise is creepy beyond hell. Don't go in there with your kids like, oh, this is gonna be fun. Like, no, there are some horror elements in it, especially just like if you're squeamish of violence against kids, don't watch this. They treat these kids as if they're adults. Like we said, dude, man, started carving into Ben. And
we didn't even talk about that kid, but
okay,
we don't
actually,
really.
Real quick, that kid was a sociopath.
That kid was a sociopath,
and they try to like justify like, oh well, his dad's abusive. No. There's no if and or buts about it. Also, I don't think you saw Pennywise at the end because he gets controlled. I think he got a concussion from the rock fight because those rocks were like, those were huge.
But that's one of the things I loved, that freaking TV show that all the adults were watching, none of the kids, mind you.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things. Pennywise was subliminally controlling the adults to not care about the kids.
Definitely.
Because of we all float down here, Pennywise the clown is great kind of thing. Like, there's a
kill
TV
them
show.
All.
Yeah,
kill them all.
I'm pretty positive that TV show was constructed by Pennywise and was just on like the TVs, and it was just like a thing that the adults saw to like brainwash them to stop caring about the kids.
Because in the during one I think it was when they were first leaving the sick kid's house, his mom was watching it, and if you hear like, just go play in the sewer, kids.
Yeah, you all float down here.
Yeah, so it's like I was like, that's a little weird. But yeah, that rock fight, I think he just had a concussion and was just like kind of like had a blood clot. Because if you watch it, those rocks were the size of tennis balls.
Big ass rocks.
So I think just
Pennywise
does
right. Though Pennywise does give him back his knife.
Yeah. But
so he never sees Pennywise, but Pennywise didn't care about that kid. He just wanted that kid to kill to cause more fear.
Yeah. So I think we'll end that there because we have a few more topics. So. Speaking of, we were talking about Stranger Things. The sheriff, David Harbour, I think his name is. David Harbour.
Mm-hmm.
He's playing the new Hellboy.
Yep.
And they released the first still, and I don't know if it's just because Ron Perlman just looks like. I think Ron Perlman just looks like Hellboy in general because he. I mean, not taking away, he looks amazing. Like, I don't see David Harbour anywhere, but I think I'm just so used to Ron Perlman that he just kind of looks like it, but he looks like intense.
Yeah, and like so with the image that we're seeing here, it's Hellboy standing perfectly like facing the camera, but his right side, right on our side, like
his left arm is hidden in shadow, but you see his gun,
and you also see a good amount of his giant hand.
Yeah,
But like the reason I'm saying he's covered in shadow is because it's very Mike Mignola, and that's of course the original creator of Hellboy, and like the art style for Mignola was shadows are perfectly black, like it covers the entire like part of the body that it's covering. There's no like gradient to a shadow, and that's like really apparent here, and it's fantastic.
It's a very artistic like
But he's got his boomstick, he's got his hand, he's got his the horns are there. I mean, like the shaved horns, but he's got. His hair is really long in this image, whereas the normal Hellboy usually has it in a bun in the back or tied in the back. So I'm wondering if that's going to be how Hellboy is the entire time, or if that's
just relaxed.
Him, maybe not relaxed, but just like he's in the middle of a fight, having it like ripped open or something like that. Because he also isn't wearing his trench coat that he's known for, but I think he's not wearing the trench coat because they want to show off.
Yeah, this is all just showing off. Like that's why I think his hair is down, just like. This is what he, looks like when he's not in the middle of a fight.
Also, I love the mouth line. It's very stylized.
It's huge.
Yeah, because like I need to rewatch the other Hellboy movies, but I feel like the mouth line wasn't quite like that in those ones. Because in the new one, the way the mouth line works is basically it's the length of a normal human mouth is flat.
Yeah.
And then on either side of that, it's got like a 45-degree angle down.
Yeah.
So it almost looks like it's made of like rock. Like his like mouth is like carved, like chiseled.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's like a stonemason just took their chisel, went once up, once like perfectly like sideways, and once down the other way.
Yeah. But the only thing I'm worried about is his legs, because that's the one part of the one design of Hellboy that always like throws me off, especially if you watch if you read the comics or look at the animated movies.
Because he's got demon legs.
Yeah, he has a huge upper body, and then when you get to his legs, they're like really skinny.
Yeah, he's got tiny goat legs.
Yeah, and that's the only part that kind of throws me off of what Hellboy looks like. But so I'm very curious on if they're gonna go that route with are they gonna give him like little legs? Because usually because Hellboy is. I mean, he's a demon, but they usually, like, Ron Perlman it was all prosthetics. So I don't know how much, like, CGI they're going to put on him. But, I mean, it all looks real, and it looks amazing. I'm really excited about what they're going to do with Hellboy. And, you have any final thoughts on it?
Not really much other than, like, if they decide to CG his legs, I think it'd be okay, because all they have to do is just stick some mocap stuff on his real legs, and then animate it based on that, and that way the animation will still be really fluid and like realistic looking. I'd be okay with that as long as they kept his body, you know, the same otherwise.
Right. So our next topic, because that was just a still, and our next one we are going to talk about the director change-up at in Star Wars, because as you know, a little bit ago, they announced that Colin Trevorrow, who directed Jurassic World, Safety Not Guaranteed, and the recent Book of Henry, he left Star Wars. He left Star Wars Episode 9 because he was announced almost 2 years ago. Because I think they announced all the directors when Force Awakens came out.
Right.
So, due to, creative differences, because, that's the thing they always say, he left the project. And there were some tabloids saying that it was because he was difficult to work with or whatever, blah, blah, blah. So a lot of people were trying to figure out, who are they going to replace him with? And a lot of people were actually thinking Patty Jenkins, who did Wonder Woman. And I thought that would have been a really smart choice. But I think she's already she just signed up for another Wonder Woman movie, so I'm sure her schedule is booked up. So who they got was J.J. Abrams. And J.J. Abrams, of course, did Force Awakens. And that started a controversy because people were mad that The Force Awakens to them was a rehash of A New Hope.
A New Hope, yeah.
Now, I agree to a certain extent, because if you look at everyone who talked about Star Wars, the one thing most people always agree with is that they're very butthurt about prequels. Rightfully so. Like,
sure.
The prequels were not they didn't hold up par to the to the originals. But if you also got to think about this, like, this storyline has not been picked up for 30 years. Like, even though the prequels were only like maybe 10 years ago, the storyline with Han, Luke, and Leia it's been 30 plus years since that story is picked up. So what Lucasfilm did mostly was that they had to kind of get the trust of everyone back in by showing them what they knew. Like, hey, we're not doing anything crazy right now. This is just like a soft reintroduction of Star Wars for old fans and new fans. Like, hey, just come wade into the water. Don't dive in just yet. Just wade it in. And that's what I feel like The Force Awakens was. It was a nice wade into the water. Now, from what I'm starting to realize with I'm sorry, I'm going to let you have your piece. Was looking at Star Wars right now is that they brought a lot of creative directors, because this is what we saw with Han Solo when they brought in Phil Lord and Chris Miller, and then they left because creative differences. They were doing something with Han Solo that Star Wars felt like
didn't fit the character. Yeah,
but you also got to remember, like, right now we are in the age of the fan creatives, because everyone who's running Star Wars right now, more or less, was either there from the beginning, like Lawrence Kasdan, like he's involved. He was there from the very beginning, or at least from Empire, and then everyone else is a fan. Everyone who's working on Star Wars right now is a fan. So if they say that's not Han Solo, They're not. I'm sure there was something going on because I can't think they said like. I think even the actor playing Han Solo was just like, yeah, this isn't Han Solo. This is like Ace Ventura. And
Right.
those are two very different
Big red
spectrums.
flag. Big red flag.
So it's and they got Ron Howard to replace those two.
Mhm.
So it's starting to seem like they're just like, okay, you know what? Y'all creatives are like too much.
Yeah.
We're going with some safe bets, and I think that's kind of what this is. But so what evolved this with J.J. Abrams coming in and this kind of like stir up of like instead of getting these young creative directors, they're just kind of getting like the safe bets. What do you think of all this?
Well, I wouldn't call Abrams a safe bet. I mean, he is, but I don't mean it in the fact that he's like middle ground. He's just gonna do an okay job. I actually think he's gonna do a great job.
Yeah, and when I mean by safe, I don't mean like, oh, we can just bully him around. I mean like he's already part of the Star Wars.
Like, yeah, they
family,
already
and
know
they
he will
the
do well.
vision.
Yeah, well, I understand that. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Main issue probably is they're on a timeline. They just lost the director they thought they had in for 2 years. What are they gonna do? Oh, get the dude that did episode 7 because we know he'll do this one.
Yeah.
And I don't pin a lot of my dislike for episode 7 on Abrams. There's more than just him working behind the scenes to make that movie what it was. And I also I respect the fact that it had to be a wade back into Star Wars. I don't like the fact that it was a rehash of episode 4 because it was.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with it because there was plenty of stuff in that movie that was not. Like, Rey is not Luke.
Minorities.
Minorities getting main character roles. Granted, I still think Finn should have done more, but if this is my thing. I think Finn's gonna do more in this episode.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna be like chosen one status by the ninth movie.
Because I remember
that's what I want.
Because I think that's what John Boyega, who plays Finn, he was saying like, because that was one of the big complaints was like Finn didn't do anything. He didn't do anything. And he was just like, a hero is not made in one story.
Right.
A hero is born. Now, you may say that with Luke, but you also got to remember, Star Wars is the most successful independent film ever made. I mean, he made that's why Episode 4 wraps up very well because they didn't know
they didn't think they were going to do another one.
So that's why Luke was able to become like a hero at the end of the movie. Because guess what? Luke sucks until like Return of the Jedi because he
does some good stuff in Episode 5. Like he's still getting there.
My favorite line in Episode 5, I think I talked to you about this, is when he's fighting Darth Vader and Darth Vader says, "Impressive, you learned something." And he's like, "Oh, I'm full of surprises." The next scene is Luke like slips and is on the ground just waving like the lightsaber, like no, get back. Like
I mean, yeah, because he's headstrong. He's like. He was just the kid that thinks that he can do the thing, even though he totally can't.
So that's
learn that.
So that's why Rey, Rey, I know a lot of people called her Mary Sue, but
she's not as anywhere near as Mary Sue as frickin' Poe Dameron, man.
Well,
he cannot fail.
That's years of training. I give a pass to that because that's because he was actually out of everyone, he was the one who was like fully trained. Like he was the one who was like reached like max level while everyone else is like level 20 whatever. He's like, no, I'm level 100 right now. Like
right.
The fact that the reason why they got me is because they blew up my ship. If I got in my ship before they blew it up, bro, I could have probably wiped out the whole.
Sure.
Yeah, because he was like Dak in.
I can take on the whole empire by myself. Hey guys, you hear this? Dak says he can take on the whole empire.
Get ready to suck some dick. That was the best.
Oh jeez.
But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I've got my own issues with how Poe Dameron worked in Episode 7, and if I see more of that, I'm probably gonna be really just like, okay, maybe it is Abrams doing this, but like, either way, Episode 7 was okay. It was good. I am okay with that level of directing, that level of writing, all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
So I have no problem with Abrams coming back. If creatives are going to get on board and then have huge disputes with the production company, with the production house, and the cast and crew and have to leave, that's not on the cast and crew or the movie itself. That's on the director. It's unfortunate, but it happens. And so bringing Abrams back on is totally okay in my book because don't you want this movie to get made, guys?
Yeah.
And it's going to be good. Like, it's not going to be Empire. It's not going to be Return of the Jedi, because the whole idea, like Addison said earlier, was Episode 7 was, yes, it's a rehash of Episode 4, but it's so that new viewers of Star Wars can get into it, and old viewers can go, look at all of these things that are callbacks to the old one. Yeah. Even though it might aggravate you because you wanted to see new stuff, it's still like...
But the last time they did new stuff, people complained about it.
Yeah,
that was in
and so it's just it's
prequels.
Yeah, so it's trying to tell you this is kind of how the new 3 episodes are going to be. Episode 5, or episode 8. I think it's going to have hints of Episode 5 in it. It's going to have like, this is the darker. This is the darker movie. Other than that, totally different, because we're going to have like, I'm betting we're going to have a bunch of flashback scenes about why Luke, left. But then we're also going to have Yoda-like scenes where Luke is teaching Rey. But it's not going to be... There's no... As far as I can tell, there's no beginning that's going to be a battle of Hoth.
Right. No ice planets.
There's no ice planet. There's no huge battle that sends them there, because the huge battle just happened.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know. I think it's got a lot of potential to be a new, good addition to the franchise.
I completely agree.
And then Episode 9, this is my thing too. The villains of Episodes 8 and are probably going to carry over into Episode 9 are the Knights of Ren.
Yep.
Totally different from anything in the original trilogy. Like, I am so on board with these guys being the main villains, because they're like cool evil force users that each have a different weapon.
Yeah.
Like, one of them has a great sword, okay? He's got like a Buster sword, a la Cloud from frickin' Final Fantasy.
And if you watch the, because I think at Comic-Con they did a featurette of like behind the scenes, and at one point you see Daisy Ridley, who plays Rey, she's practicing with a wooden sword, and she blocks like 3 guys attacking her. So most likely there's going to be because I think that was kind of like a spoiler too, because someone leaked that there's going to be a scene where Rey and Luke fight like 7 Knights of Ren. So we're about to see Luke just like, because she has the blue lightsaber, so I hope he just whips out the green one. And
oh my god!
I'm so pumped for that. So hopefully, and you guys also got to remember, like, yes, we know Disney and Star Wars they're a corporation, but you also got to remember it's a business, and if your coworkers aren't working well with the business, they're gonna get fired. And like, yes, it's art. It's an art form, because I know when it comes to art, everyone gets a little weird about it. But it's like, it's an art, but it's also
got to make money.
Yeah, it makes money. It has to be a business. And like, if you're a boss and you have an employee who's too headstrong and is just not working with the company, not just conforming, but working with, you let them go. Like, that's just what happens. So I feel like that's the thing about movies. People kind of forget that it's a business, and if all the gears aren't working together, then you gotta do something about that. Yeah. And I hope they just don't do like. Ron Howard's a great director. Don't get me wrong, but I think that is like a very safe director, because he's not the one that does like.
I read like an article that says like it's not gonna be mediocre, but it's just gonna be like.
In the middle. He's not over here and he's not over there. He's just kind of right there. So
there is one thing I want to say that I saw addressed.
Okay.
Because with Episode 7 and then Episode 9 getting Abrams, there was a petition to be like, don't let Abrams do it. And I'm like, I'm not really on board with the petition, but I remembered one of the biggest gripes with Abrams, and that what a lot of people are upset about, and I think it's justified, is that they played Captain Phasma up so much.
And that is
she
a major complaint.
Awesome, and she looks cool, and I wanted her to do awesome things and have like a boss fight.
Because she's Baratheon in a Game of I know she's somebody.
She's Brienne of Tarth.
Tarth, that's it.
In the Game of Thrones series, and she's just so cool, and it's like, oh my god, they have that actor playing her. She's going to do awesome stuff. And then she gets knocked out by a Wookiee and thrown into a trash compactor.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Good job, guys. You just hyped up this character to be the big stormtrooper, and then you just knock her out immediately.
Now,
cool.
I will also point out this. Out of everything that's happening, because even The Force Awakens had some issues, because, Harrison Ford broke his leg, whatever. Everything happened. You've heard nothing bad happened come from episode 8. Episode 8 is probably the like smoothest working big budget film because all you're hearing is like, oh, it's great. Like everyone's just like, oh, Ryan Johnson has just a great vision, blah blah blah. You've heard nothing, no arguments, no, at least nothing that they released. So right now they're just like, why? Because that's what a lot of people thought, like, oh, Ryan Johnson's going to do it because so far he's the only one who hasn't caused some kind of issue in the Star Wars universe. So
I don't know, maybe they'll throw us the curveball and Abrams will be like, oh, I guess I'll let Ryan do it or something.
I mean, that's the one. Look, I love Ryan Johnson because I love Looper, but I'm really excited to see where we go with episode 8 because that comes out. God, that comes out this year. I never really thought about it. But all right, so our last topic we are going to talk about is Nightwing, and the director. We're not going to because he has a long quote about what he's going to do for
with
Nightwing.
A lot of expletives.
Yeah, which you thought this guy was like. Because remember, it's Chris McKay. He did the Lego Batman, so keep that in mind. And it's just like, because I guess he was talking about Nightwing, and it's just like, oh, this movie's gonna be effing awesome. It's gonna be this, and there's gonna be no CGI. And whoever gets cast as Nightwing and everyone else, they're gonna go through an effing boot camp of just like gymnastics. Like, dude, I asked if the movie, like, what are you gonna do with the movie? Didn't ask for all this.
Right.
I love the energy. But God, this guy sounds crazy.
It sounds like he's like on coke or something right there, and he got like interviewed randomly. And he's just like, oh man, it's gonna be so great. Oh God, oh. So yeah. But anyway, like reading it, I'm excited for it because it reminds me of Predator. Because in the making of Predator, everyone, including Arnold, had to go through boot camp. They literally had to go through like the same level of boot camp that the Vietnam soldiers had to go through in order to make that movie.
Damn.
Yeah.
And, I didn't know that.
And
that's
so I was just like, and they became like these action, bamps. Like cool. Yeah. No, I want to see that.
Yeah.
And also he's like little CG. Like everyone's got to do their like if they're gonna do fight scenes, they have to do fight scenes. I'm looking forward to that choreography because I love fight choreography.
Same
if
here.
it's on like the level of like a Jet Li or a Jackie Chan movie,
or even just Daredevil, or just the first season of Daredevil,
yeah.
Like, especially the
God,
the warehouse or the hallway scene.
If we get like a hallway scene style thing going, when there's just like one continuous shot for like 10 minutes straight, I would be so happy.
Me too. Like he's not a very popular actor, but he did he was in like Power Rangers series, but his name is Yoshi Sudarso, I think. He's Asian descent of all like so get some diversity, but he's also he knows martial arts and is very knows gymnastics. So I would like to see they actually get someone who has a background in those kind of stunts to to do it because I know they cast some they're doing the Titans TV show and they already cast a Nightwing, but this is going to be different. My only issue is like, will Nightwing be able to carry a whole movie by himself? I'm excited. But this sounds a lot like a better off as a an 8-episode TV series, like something on Netflix. But we'll see.
It's gonna be a movie, so we're gonna have to see.
I'm excited. Like I think I told you before, I'd rather see Nightwing in The Outsiders, like him, have to run a team. But as long as the villain is Black Mask, if they're gonna give him a villain, make it Black Mask. Or because you know what, I got an idea. Because you know how they're going to have Deathstroke in the Batman movie? But now they're just like, oh, we don't know if he's going to be in the Batman movie. Put him in Nightwing. Like right there, perfectly.
It could be a tie-in almost, where he's like trying to like, or he's like fighting like Black Mask the entire time, and then halfway through it, Black Mask hires Death, and then at the end of it, he beats him. Or like not even beats him, just like survives the encounter, and Deathstroke's just like, oh, I've got other things I've got to do.
Or no, and then he just like, oh, Black Mask just ended our contract. I don't need to kill you now. I mean, I hate you, but I'm not getting paid to kill you, so I'm just gonna walk away.
Yeah,
that's what I want.
Yeah, I've got business back in Gotham or something.
Yeah, I want my bounty. I want my hitman Deathstroke. I don't want lovesick puppy Deathstroke that we got from Arrow. I want just like, I'm gonna kill you because I'm getting paid to do it. If I'm not getting paid to do it, I don't care about you. So I think that's where we're going to end it because we do have some things that we have to take care of. Thank you guys for listening. Make sure you follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Real Film Geeks. And please subscribe to our channel, Real Film Geeks. And also check out our headquarters of the Token Nerd Network, and check out the Token Nerd Podcast and follow them on their social media networks. Zeb, you have a Twitter now. What's your Twitter handle?
My Twitter handle is RFGZeb, Real Film Geeks Zeb.
Yes, go check that out. And I'm also at The Casual Movie Fan on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you guys for listening. I'm Addison Lee.
And I'm Zebedee.
Remember, shoot film, not people.